How can you retire better, wiser? What are some lessons from current retirees on what they regret so that you can learn from them? I've got that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. I've always tried to learn as much as I possibly could from other people's mistakes. If mistakes are some of life's best teachers, I have found that to be true, then I want to learn as much as I possibly can from other people's mistakes so that I avoid making them. And then I just got to remain humble enough to learn from my own mistakes instead of prideful and sort of, defensive or whatever in the face of failure. And so to me, this article from the Wall Street Journal posted a couple of weeks ago really stood out to me because we are a certified financial planning team, a team of CFPs, also a CPA firm, an insurance agency, lots of different financial experts together. The big idea at Korhorn Financial Group is have experts in their individual disciplines all collaborating and working together to serve holistically in a comprehensive way the clients through comprehensive financial planning. And so that way the tax planning and investment planning, financial planning, health insurance planning, estate planning, all of that is cohesive and integrated. And we believe that brings a better result, a better experience. Through that, our team of CFPs, nearly 20, have helped thousands of people retire. And we've seen some of the regrets and some of the mistakes and have noticed patterns as well. And so as the author laid it out here, I love the approach and would agree with it as well from our empirical evidence and want to share with you the three kind of most common regrets that today's retirees have. The author asked the question, if you could redo it, if you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? So what are the regrets that you have as you've entered and explored retirement? The first insight, the first regret is that investing for retirement means more than money. And this is so true. I was sharing this with a client the other day, and I would say about 50% of folks that we help retire, they run out of things to do after about 6 months. 6 months, there's this honey-do list, and I've always wanted to, and we're going to do this, and I've got to clean out the garage, and I want to go golfing, and got this trip. And then after 6 months, about 50% of people settle in, and yeah, I'm in this new groove, and the other 50% are saying, okay, so what's next? And I don't know if that 50% is an accurate percentage or if it's higher or a little bit lower, but we've used the phrase before. What are you retiring to versus focusing on what you're retiring from? I think for the most part, and I would be in this camp as well. The stressful days, the hard work, the challenges that we all face in our vocations, in our jobs. Gosh, we look forward to retirement so that we don't have to deal with those anymore. And if you fixate on that, you're going to have that mindset of I'm retiring from something. I've got to get away from this. And to each their own. And I empathize with that philosophy or that thinking. I would encourage you, even if that's true for you, start replacing that with or balance that with, well, I'm retiring to this. And so what's your hobby? What's your focus? What's your goal? Some of the folks interviewed here in this section of the article talked about being achievers. And you've reached a level of success in your career because you're an achiever. You get stuff done. You have goals at your job and you're striving and overcoming challenges and focused. And one of the folks interviewed said, what are your goals in retirement? What's that same achiever mindset applied to in retirement? So whether that's a hobby, whether that's doing certain things, I don't know. But I have, this is a couple of years ago, I'm remembering one example vividly, but really talked to someone for a couple of years before they retired about what are you retiring to? This was a single mom who was really high achieving in her career, unbelievable career. And the beautiful thing is she just viewed all of that as just a blessing and a gift that she just couldn't believe that that she was so fortunate. And guys, she was just wonderful at what she did and an expert and fantastic. And so to treat that as a blessing, love that perspective. But single mom, and obviously kids, well grown, and even grandchildren were pretty much out of the house. And it was, well, what's your hobby? What are you going to focus on from here? And a lot of it was health. And we spent a couple years, and it started with, I don't know. I don't know. What it turned into, though, was her own health. She took up boxing. She took up other things. Obviously, that was strained with COVID, but it took a more active approach in her health. Also took a very active approach in her church, and also then had a financial goal of doing a big family trip every single year. And we figured out how to make that part of her finances. And so she would do one big trip with the family and do one small trip as well. And so it helped her retire to something instead of away from something. So guys, I've seen this as well. I've seen that as well. Retirement is more than just saving up enough money. It's bigger than that. Second lesson from current retirees that they wish they could do over or do differently if they could redo their retirement over is that how important relationships are. How important relationships are. The takeaway being relationships are the key to your retirement. It's a predictor of longevity, health, and happiness is the quality of your relationships. And here's where I would then challenge you is some folks, as you are approaching retirement, you are envisioning a destination. And that is okay, guys, and there is no one way that's right or wrong. You've got to find your own path. But I would encourage you to have it be a thoughtful and planful path as opposed to just a reaction. So some people think of a destination. I'm from the Midwest, so that destination is Florida for most people, right? I think half of Florida is populated by people from Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and New York, right? I mean, most people think Florida. But if that means you're saying goodbye to all of your existing relationships, I would hope down in Florida that you build new relationships. This happened with my folks. Both my brother and I stayed up north, and unfortunately, my brother is still in our hometown, and I was called away a couple hours away, and so our relationship isn't as tight, and so that's something that we need to work on as we get older. But obviously, my folks now they're away from their grandkids, and they come up, and we go down, and we try to visit as much as possible. But there's 52 weeks in a year, and when you're retired, it's 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. I mean, so those weeks feel long, and so if they left their relationships up north, where they grew up, spent their entire lives, down to Florida just for sunshine, but no relationships, oh, guys, then that's a big regret. Thankfully, mom is very active and very social. Everyone's her friend, and so they've had a very social and relational lifestyle down in Florida. Probably different than the relationships they had. Obviously, they have with their two sons and their grandkids and daughters-in-laws, but still relationships. So therefore, it's not a challenge. Hey, don't have a snowbird or don't move into retirement. But maybe what this means is part of retirement is you moving away from where you currently live to be closer to your kids if they left. Maybe it is, well, we are going to move away, but we want to make sure we've got enough in the budget to make sure we return. Or maybe it's just the emphasis of strengthening relationships and focusing on some relationships that maybe are fractured and repairing those before you retire to ensure that quality of your relationships is actually something that you're investing in and can make your retirement fruitful and enjoyable. And then the third takeaway, the third lesson from the author here, those currently in retirement saying that they wish they knew this or they would change this if they had to do it all over again. And the first were more qualitative, the first two, and this third one is more quantitative. It's more geeky. It's more natural to me. It sort of gets to the guts, the numbers of retirement, and that is retirement's going to last longer than what you think. And in fact, some of the folks one of the folks interviewed that's listed in the article says, I retired at 65. I wish I would have worked a couple more years. because their retirement, this individual said, I would feel more comfortable with my finances had I worked a couple of extra years because, and I've done several videos on this before, the power of working just one more year. Just one more year. That year you're not drawing off your savings, you're actually investing in them. So that's a doubly benefit. You also delay paying for your own health insurance, and yeah, you may be paying for some of your health insurance while you're working, but likely not all of it while you're working, and delaying your Social Security at least one more year, if not finding a strategy to delay it even further. So even one more year can make an enormous impact. And if the studies are correct, that on average there is a retirement readiness gap, then working just one extra year or a couple extra years could make an enormous difference. And here's when you're going to realize, maybe have that regret, when it's too late to go back to work, right? When you're 72 or 75 or 78, and it's that time where you say, gosh, this feels a little uncomfortable. The finances haven't stretched as far as I wanted them to, and it's at that time when you can't just go back and say, all right, nope, I'll go back to work in my same job, making the same amount, doing the same thing. I'll do that for another 2 years, and then I'll get back on this retirement road. No, the job's completely changed. Your skill set's not the same. It's just it wouldn't happen, and so therefore I would agree. And I think that the way I would diagnose that is through that 5-factor retirement plan that I talk about so frequently here on this channel. And that is an awareness of the 5 different variables or factors, decisions that you make that tie into not a comfortable retirement, but a confident retirement. And how each of these decisions that you make, they're interrelated. So you make a decision in one, I need to leave. I'm retiring away from something, so I've got to be done at 65, or I've got to be done at 62 because I'm retiring away from this. I need to get away from this. Well, that's going to influence how much you can spend, what your retirement income sources are. It's going to influence your Social Security, your pension if you have that, your ability to draw income from other places, how much you need to have saved up. It's definitely going to influence that. The earlier you retire, the less time you have to save, but the more you need to have saved up. Right? And then how much investment risk you're comfortable taking. And maybe that's a retirement regret that people are looking at right now that, gosh, I wasn't expecting this much volatility in the markets over these past 3-4 years. Certainly in the bond markets, that as you retire, you shift more of your investment portfolio to lower risk investments like bonds. And it's just been atrocious the past couple of years. And so maybe you're looking at that saying, yeah, gosh, I wish I would have worked an extra couple of years. So do that 5-factor retirement plan. Work with a comprehensive financial planner who's retired 1,000 times over and can talk to you about some of these other qualitative type risks as well, some of the other regrets or paths that other retirees have taken, what's worked for them, what hasn't, so that you can think through those. And then certainly doing that analysis, that 5-factor retirement plan to make sure that you're on track to retire with confidence. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@Korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.